Before we begin, I need you to understand something. What you're about to hear was never meant to leave that room. Moments after Jungkook made his unexpected confession, Taehyung didn't just react, he completely broke down. The cameras were still rolling, the staff had no idea the audio was live, and what they captured is now one of the most emotional and shocking moments in Taekook history. Fans weren't prepared. HYBE wasn't prepared. And honestly, neither were we. Because once Jungkook's words hit the air, Taehyung's guard dropped instantly, revealing a side of him the public almost never gets to see. This is the raw truth behind the breakdown, the confession, and the footage that should have never gone public. It started with a moment no one saw coming. Jungkook, usually calm and controlled, suddenly opened up during the shoot. His voice was shaky, his hands trembling, and what he confessed stunned everyone in the room. The atmosphere shifted instantly, staff paused, cameras kept rolling, and Taehyung's expression slowly changed from curiosity to shock. As Jungkook's words sank in, Taehyung's entire facade broke. His eyes dropped, he stepped back, and for a split second, he tried to hold it together for the cameras, but the emotional weight was too much. What you're about to see is the exact moment Taehyung's walls collapsed, the moment he stopped being an idol and simply became human. Nobody moved. The staff froze. The audio tech glanced at the director, unsure if they should cut the feed. But the cameras kept rolling and captured every raw detail. Taehyung's breathing quickened, and Jungkook stepped forward, trying to explain, but the damage was already done. When a shoot cut, Taehyung walked out first. Jungkook followed him, apologizing under his breath. What happened in that hallway? The tears, the confrontation, the moment Taehyung whispered that he wasn't ready for this, is the footage that has fans spiraling today. A staff member forgot to disable one of the backup mics, and that's how the world ended up hearing Taehyung's voice break as he said, "Why did you say that now?" This wasn't meant to be public. But once the audio surfaced, everything changed. When the clip hit social media, ARMY exploded. Some were emotional. Some were confused. Others believed it revealed something far deeper in their relationship. Millions of views poured in within hours, and theories spread like wildfire. Behind the scenes, HYB rushed into damage control mode. Calls were made. Clips were flagged. Internal meetings were held. But the problem was simple. The world had already seen too much. Incident isn't just about the confession. It's about the emotional truth behind it. A truth both of them have tried to keep private for years, and now that it's out, nothing will be the same. People who were there that day say the tension felt unreal. A stylist quietly stepped away, pretending to fix clothes just to avoid interrupting. One camera operator admitted he almost stopped recording, but something told him not to. Every person in that room knew they were witnessing a moment that would never happen again. After the confession, Jungkook barely spoke. He followed Taehyung like he was afraid to lose him. His shoulders were tense, his eyes unfocused. He kept replaying his own words, questioning whether he should have stayed silent. And when Taehyung finally turned to look at him, Jungkook couldn't even hold eye contact. That hallway clip, the one that leaked in fragments, was never supposed to reach the public. In it, you can see Taehyung leaning against the wall, breathing hard, fighting back tears. Jungkook stands in front of him, talking softly, hands shaking. That it was raw. It was vulnerable. And it revealed more about their bond than years of interviews ever could. When Taehyung spoke, his voice cracked. "You can't drop something like that in front of everyone, you know what it means." Jungkook responded quietly, "I know, but I had to say it." Those few words sparked millions of theories, and fans still haven't stopped dissecting them. ARMY immediately began analyzing body language, mic echoes, and background reflections. Some noticed Taehyung wiping his eyes. Others spotted Jungkook's hand reaching toward him before stopping halfway. Every frame became evidence, and every second raised new questions. Within minutes, hashtags took over Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Fan artists started drawing the moment. Editors recreated the leaked audio. The entire fandom was divided, shocked, emotional, and desperately trying to understand what really happened. Despite the chaos, HYB didn't release a statement. Not even a clarification. Their silence only fueled the fire. People began to assume the company was scrambling internally because silence, in moments like this, says more than words ever could. A second camera angle, one that wasn't meant for public use, showed something even more intense. As Taehyung walked away, Jungkook reached out and quietly whispered his name. Taehyung paused for half a second, just long enough for fans to realize he was fighting everything inside him. That tiny hesitation became the most replayed moment of the entire leaked footage. People close to the situation hinted that Jungkook's confession wasn't just a random emotional outburst. It came from years of tension, misunderstandings, late-night conversations, and moments the public never saw. Everyone watching, this wasn't the beginning. It was the breaking point of a story that had been building quietly behind the scenes. As Taehyung reached the end of the hallway, he finally let himself break. His hands covered his face, his shoulders trembling. He wasn't angry. He was overwhelmed. Overwhelmed by the confession, by the cameras, by the pressure of everything they had held inside. This was the moment that made fans realize something deeper was happening. Seeing Taehyung like that shook Jungkook. He stepped closer, speaking softly, apologizing, trying to explain why he said what he did. At one point, he whispered something that wasn't captured clearly, but fans believed they heard the words, "I didn't want to lose you." Whether true or not, that phrase became the center of every theory that followed. The most heart-stopping part of the leak was only 7 seconds long. Taehyung looked up at Jungkook with red eyes and whispered something that shook the fandom to its core, and audio captured his exact words. But every fan who saw it felt the weight of the moment. It was the kind of pain, relief, and vulnerability that idols rarely show, and it spread across the internet like wildfire. At first, the staff thought it was just a minor disagreement, but when Jungkook stepped back with tears forming in his eyes and Taehyung couldn't breathe steadily, everyone understood this wasn't a performance. A manager tried to approach, but another staff member stopped them, whispering, "Not now. This is real." Even before the clip leaked, whispers spread inside the company. People who weren't even in the room heard bits and pieces. Taehyung cried. Jungkook confessed something big. These internal rumors grew, and by the time fans got the footage, HYB was already bracing for impact. What many don't know is that several files from that day were deleted almost immediately, not corrupted. Deleted. But backup servers had already stored the footage, which is how pieces of it escaped. Someone inside knew the emotional weight of what happened and tried to erase it. Hours later, when filming resumed, Taehyung returned with red, swollen eyes. He didn't say much, but he didn't need to. He just looked at Jungkook, not angry, not cold, but hurt, and in a quiet voice that the mic barely caught, he said, "You changed everything today, and I don't know if I'm ready for it." That single line has been stuck in fans' minds ever since. Jungkook held it in for as long as he could. But once Taehyung said those words, something in him cracked. For a moment, he turned away from the cameras and wiped his face. He whispered to a staff member, "I didn't want to hurt him. That wasn't the plan." It was the first time Jungkook admitted he hadn't expected things to spiral like this.